In three, two, one. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show. I'm Eli.
And I'm Anwar Beck. On this week's episode, of course, we're going to be talking about the recap of the famous SpaceX Demo 2 launch. We had somebody there on location. Then we're going to talk about the Jay Leno Garage Cybertruck episode. And finally, we'll finish off with Tesla reducing their prices. So this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show is brought to you by Matt Home, the home team in Austin. If Tesla makes their headquarters in Austin, Texas, this is the realtor to call. He's a great friend of the podcast. If you're looking to move to Austin and need a realtor's advice, this is the guy to call. He's the president of the Tesla Owners Club in Austin, a super good dude, kind of like an older brother to me and Eli. It doesn't get much better than this guy. So if you want to hit Matt up, you can visit his website at hometeamaustin.com. Home is spelled HOLM, so hometeamaustin.com. You can call him directly at his mobile, 512-769-1695, or email him directly at matt@mattsellsaustin.com. So definitely hit him up.
So, welcome back to the Tesla Geek Show. And the super hot thing this week was the Crew Dragon launch.
That was crazy, dude.
Oh my God, it was so insane. Like, I've seen launches before, but knowing there was astronauts on board, knowing the historical significance, this one was just different.
So you were there on location. I heard even your friend Starman made it out to the launch. Give us like a recap of everything. I want to hear everything. Like, you flew from California, when you showed up to Orlando, all of it, dude. Give us a recap because I feel like you had like first-person perspective just being on the ground. So definitely don't leave out any details. I want to hear it all.
All right. So it was a super interesting trip, even right from the beginning. So I flew out on Monday, and I got out there late Monday night. The first night there, first day there, I stayed the night at and spent with Eric Kuna, amazing rocket photographer, and we shot some awesome stuff with Starman that if you've been following this launch at all, you've definitely seen online because those kind of photos just went everywhere. But
dude,
I'll tell you what,
super viral, millions of views. Like, that was insane.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, it's by far the best stuff Starman's ever done, I'd say, like imagery-wise, and just the symbolism, too, of like some of those moments, man. It was amazing. It was incredible to look at the shots afterwards and be like, wow, we really took that. But so going out there was a little bit different because a lot of people haven't flown on a plane yet since this whole COVID thing happened. And so the airlines are requiring masks, which can be kind of annoying, to be honest, but I understand it's necessary. But they don't allow anyone to sit in the middle seats, which is fantastic. So you have either the aisle or the window to yourself, unless you're traveling with somebody, and then they can sit next to you. So that was interesting, and that was fine because basically it was like, great, I've been hoping to have a free middle seat next to me my entire life, and now it's mandatory. But where it was a little more difficult is at like the Las Vegas McCarran Airport, as I was changing planes to go out to Orlando, all of the food places and restaurants were closed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not something I thought about. It was basically Starbucks and a snack shack.
You got to bring your own snacks then.
Yeah, because if not, you're paying $10 for beef jerky.
I thought I heard you can't have alcohol on the flights anymore as well. Is that true?
So they're not
serve?
They're not
like
serving.
Service.
And they're not serving anything but water and just like a bag of crackers. So they're trying to
so now you have to bring your own food and your own alcohol, like little mini bottles.
I guess, but you'll have to buy it after you get through, because that's the thing. You'd have to buy it after you got through airport security. But even any of the restaurants or bars that might sell it, they're not open. So
wow,
that was fun. That was interesting. Getting out to Florida though, kind of leading up to the day of the first launch window, which was Wednesday. I mean, flying out there, the forecast for the entire week was like thunderstorms the entire time. So
really,
yeah, just flat thunderstorms the entire time. So I look at my weather app being like, man, is this thing going to fly? And then I get out there, day before, thunderstorms the entire time. Morning of, thunderstorms still predicted the entire time. So I'm calling Eric and I'm talking to the other insiders I know, and they're like, look, this is Florida weather. Things could change in an hour and be totally fine, or there could be hail falling out of the sky and have a tornado warning. By the way, we actually had a tornado warning on launch day.
No way. So you're talking about the first launch window.
First launch window.
Was it a Wednesday? On Wednesday, right?
It was Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, so they had a tornado warning. It was like really raining heavily earlier in the day. But then they continued to proceed for launch. And what a surprise, even just an hour, 30 minutes before the launch, this like hole in the sky opened up around Kennedy Space Center. And they took the launch countdown all the way to like the final 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was close. And ultimately it was scrubbed because one of NASA's requirements for manned spaceflight is there can't be lightning within a 10-mile radius. And the lightning was inside that 10-mile radius.
Oh,
just 10 minutes later, it was actually fine. So a lot of people were like, oh, well, why just didn't they wait 10 minutes? But with NASA, that's not the way it works. With NASA, it's either an instantaneous launch window, like the launch has to go off to the second, or it doesn't go at all. It's scrubbed. Yeah. So it was like 4:33 p.m. and I forgot exactly how many seconds, but it either goes off then or it's canceled till the next day.
Mm-hmm. So Wednesday's canceled. Now you have to wait till Saturday. What did you do for 3 or 4 days? I'm assuming you went to the library and did a lot of studying.
I can't remember the last time I looked at a library. Oh man. So it was interesting. So the next launch day, you'd think, oh, maybe they'll just launch the next day or as soon as weather's good. But for this launch too, because it's a ISS mission, they have to line up the launch with the orbits of ISS going around Earth.
That's why I was in the very next day. Okay, that makes sense now.
Exactly, because they're trying to limit, one of the risk calculations is they need to limit the amount of time that the astronauts spend in the capsule so they can get them, so they spend the least amount of time in orbit in the capsule so they can get them to the ISS as fast as possible, where they have more resources, more life support, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why the next launch windows were Saturday and Sunday. And the launch window times actually changed. So it was like 4:33 on Wednesday. By Saturday, the launch was up to like 3:22. And then if it had been Sunday, it would have moved up to 3. So the launch window by day will actually change pretty substantially as the ISS orbits the Earth in a different pattern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. So yeah, 3 days, mostly spent it on the beach, hanging out. Like there wasn't really a ton to do because a lot of stuff was still closed. But yeah, man, mostly just hung out, got some stuff done on my laptop, watched the movies, finished the series Homeland, which I've been wanting to get to for a long time. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, so 3 days went by, we've still got rain on and off. Forecast even for Saturday, which is the day it did finally fly, was still a 50-50 in the morning probability of success. Yeah, because there was like this one storm pattern that, I mean, everyone was watching the real-time weather satellites, but there was just this one storm pattern that if the clouds were to break up, it would be fine. And about an hour and a half or so before the launch, the skies were very clear, a little hazy, some clouds higher up, but the skies were clear, and it was 100% that weather wasn't going to stop this thing from going.
That's awesome. So take us through it, dude. Like, where were you, by the way? Where are you watching it from?
So on Saturday, I was out on the beach.
Okay.
Near Jetty Park. Yep.
Very cool.
So it was a little bit further away than we would have liked. But there was some video that Eric wanted to shoot with Starman, so it required being out there. NASA, unfortunately, was very restrictive of access due to COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
That
makes sense.
So way less people had access to normal. And people that had been given press passes had press passes like pulled later. And agencies would normally get 2 or 3, ultimately ended up with just 1 and like no assistance. Like, yeah, they did a lot of interesting stuff.
I saw the epic, our buddy Tim Dodd, Everyday Astronaut. He scored an interview with Elon and who's the NASA administrator? Jim
Bridenstine.
Yeah, what's his first name?
Jim.
Okay. Yeah, that was a pretty cool. I texted him. I'm like, bro, you scored the interview for from that side of things. I mean, it's cool to get both of their perspectives.
I was super happy you got that interview. I do got to say, it was funny. The overall message between Jim and Elon was just like trying to convince everyone that NASA and SpaceX like each other and that there's not this political feud, which we know there is. So, and by the way, it was hilarious watching everyone convince them that, yeah, we're on the same team. We love each other while they were all standing 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So you and I went out there. Tesla SpaceX invite us to the Falcon Heavy 2, the Arabsat launch. So that was the first time I saw a live rocket launch. I don't know if you've seen it before, but what was the difference in your emotions and your feelings of this one?
So it was different. So Falcon Heavy is still my all-time favorite rocket because that's the one that took Starman to space. And it's so cool looking and the thrust on it and the amount of fire that comes out of it. I mean, it's 2 Falcon 9s and a center booster on the Falcon Heavy. Yeah. This launch I mean, and because the Falcon Heavy is such a big rocket, it's much more majestic to watch it fly up. Like it takes off much more slowly. Like there's this like really dramatic, like as it lifts off the pad versus the Falcon 9, it's kind of like ignition and then it's gone. Like the Falcon 9 takes off really quick. It's smooth, but it goes really quick. So from the aspect of just watching a rocket launch, a Falcon 9 is far less exciting. But this one had Bob and Doug on board wearing their SpaceX Starman suits, headed to the ISS, and Elon has done it. Elon has now accomplished something only a handful of governments have even done, and that's done crewed space flight. So it was an incredible moment. And it was also a little more like nerve-wracking because if a rocket blows up and it's got cargo, okay, that sucks. But like you have insurance, you can rebuild it, blah, blah, blah. You can't replace Bob and Doug. So it was definitely nerve-wracking until they got past max Q. But again, thankfully, the Falcon 9 is like one of the most reliable rockets ever. It's been well tested. It's durable. All the conditions were good. So there was no reason to expect any issue to happen. But it was definitely – I think I held my breath for the first minute and a half of flight.
Yeah.
It was so cool, too, because like as the rocket – you could see the rocket come up and the glow. You know, all the crowds are just like yelling and like putting their hands up in the air. And then the sound of it just gets to you. And it's like, man, like you appreciate
Sonic boom, huh?
Well, not even the sonic boom. This isn't even that. This is just the sound of the engines roaring.
You can hear it all the way. Yeah, you can hear it.
Really loud. Oh, yeah. Remember we saw Falcon Heavy? Took a while for the sound to get to us. But the sound of the engines was like this just giant vibrating like undertones.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you couldn't see when the booster came back and landed. That was probably too far out in the ocean.
Yeah, it was like 500 miles out in the ocean. We couldn't see it.
Okay.
I don't know if it was actually 500 miles or not. I don't know the exact distance, but no. When it lands in the ocean, you could see it on the live stream. You can't see it in person. We got lucky too. We may have seen one of the handful of last landings that SpaceX ever does on shore. So we got to see it was like really special. Yeah, it doesn't look like SpaceX is going to keep doing that there. They're going to just keep putting them on their drone ships.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, but for those that didn't get to watch this, the booster did land successfully. I mean, the mission so far has been perfect. But now Bob and Doug will be on ISS for 3 months or so, doing their experiments and different things, and
like
then
6 weeks to 3 months. Yeah, they're doing it much shorter. So yeah, this is still like people are like, oh, why is it a demo mission? Because they're actually putting astronauts. Part of the demonstration is doing it with live astronauts. So this is just like when they come back to Earth will be the completion of Demo 2.
Yeah. And I think they mentioned that they tested the capsule, the Dragon capsule. I guess they like put it in manual mode at some point. I'm assuming it's part of their test to make sure that it like handles like what they're expecting, things of that nature.
You know, I actually didn't follow the time from them getting successfully to orbit and them docking with the ISS as closely. When I started really tuning back in again is in the final hours before they docked, and I watched some of their broadcasts and talking about the ship and unveiling their kids TY Beanie Baby, the reflective dinosaur. That was a hilarious choice. Yeah. TY has to be super happy about that. Like they just sold out of that thing everywhere.
I love the nickname that the SpaceX employees have given Bob and Doug, the dads. They're kind of like you could totally tell, like what I found fascinating is, and if you guys didn't watch it live, you could totally still go back to YouTube. And I think on the SpaceX's channel, they have it. But the background story on these two astronauts is incredible. Both of their wives, I think, are astronauts as well. Like, so these are like astronaut families, right? Like aerospace engineering. And one of them, was he a Marine in another Air Force? Something of that sort, right? Like they're like very decorated, you know, like
and a lot of astronauts have military backgrounds because like a majority of what astronauts do, they talk about astronauts going to space, they're on a mission, right? So one, they were taught a crap ton of survival training because they're basically living in a tin can flying through space at 18,000 miles per hour. A ton of things can go wrong. And when they do, they're not going to have much time to react and try and solve the problem. Otherwise, the lives of themselves, the crew, and the entire ship could be in jeopardy. So, astronauts are heavily recruited from military because they need people who can handle a high amount of pressure, responsibility, and stress. The other side of it, too, is when they go up there, they are working. Like, that's pretty much the majority of what they're doing. They have some free time, but they're running experiments. They're doing stuff for research. There's stuff that's done up there for the government. like, yeah, no, like they are, it actually makes sense that the United States military created Space Force,
Yeah.
because a lot of what we do in space does have government military purposes.
Yep. I mean, like just high level. I wasn't there on location, but of course, the excitement level. We even had like Matt and I are partners, so we had an open house going on, and I had it pulled up on a TV screen. Like I kind of like tried to get into it, but I sent a link to all my family members, and I was like, hey, this is a historic event, and especially like the younger kids. I was trying to tell everyone, like family, friends, and stuff. I'm like, hey, you should remember this day. This is a pretty epic milestone. Like this, if it goes off successfully, there's a chance, I feel like, before I die, I might be able to go up into space, on some sort of commercial program.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, it's absolutely possible. The cost right now, honestly, you could probably already do it. It would be a lot. But
Hmm.
yeah, in the next 10 years, it'll be like, okay, I'll do that. Like, it'll be like, you know what? I'll do that instead of a 4 seasons vacation. Like, it'll be like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Shit, in your lifetime, you might even have the option to go to the moon.
And I totally would. I'll sign up to go to Mars, dude, all day long.
Damn. That's crazy,
Yeah.
because that's going to be, for a
Uh-huh.
lot of people, that's a one-way trip.
No, no, no. I don't think it'll be a one-way trip. If it's a one-way trip, I probably won't go. Or like, what does Elon say? I want to go, but I don't want to die on impact or
I want to
something.
die on Mars, just not on
But not
impacts.
on impact.
Yeah. No, for real though. Like for like quite a few years in the early days of the Mars base, it will be a one-way trip, because like the
Hmm.
resources are going to have to all be about getting stuff there
Yep.
versus bringing them back, and the people that go are going to be making very long-term commitments. I think it's possible in our lifetimes we might be able to go. I don't know if we'll be young enough to have the option to come back.
Yep. Cool. Any parting words about this part of the segment? Because I'd like to jump into some more Tesla news.
It was awesome, man. It was a historic moment for SpaceX. It was super cool too, because I had produced I had a section of episode 2 of the Adventures of Starman animated, and it was the scene where Starman docks with the ISS, and then some
Bro, I
other.
saw that. Oh my God, that was so good. Where can
Thanks,
people see,
man.
where can people see that?
I will include a link in the description, but on Starman's
Okay.
Twitter, it's pinned to the top at Real Life Starman. It's also on my YouTube channel at My Tesla Adventure. But yeah, basically, I had this scene that like literally the animators finished it like 6 hours before I posted it. It took us like 2.5
Wow.
months of making and producing and editing, going back and forth. Yeah, this epic scene of Starman docking with the ISS, and then some pretty craziness unfolds. I'll let you
Dude,
watch the video.
it's a straight up movie, like a cartoon movie. You got to make this. I mean, it might one day become a movie, like a Netflix special or something, because that was unreal, dude. Like, I was
Thanks, man.
shocked at the quality and the storyline, the suspense. I was like, oh, like, you guys have to go check it out. Like, it's awesome.
No, it's not. It's way more than what anybody would think. And what's crazy is that whole scene is only like 6 pages out of that 40-page episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you really could make it into like an hour or something like that, like cartoon,
Yeah.
like a
Definitely.
movie almost. Wow. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Episode 3 and 4. 3 is actually going to be a 2-part episode. It's going to be about 90 pages of story. That
Hmm.
one's actually written to be a movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And that one, I think we're actually going to get into 3D animation, which is going to be
Dude,
crazy expensive,
that's
but it's going to be
awesome.
so awesome. Especially wait
It's
till you
gonna be
see the
so
fight
worth it.
scenes. Oh, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so just transitioning on the same. So the day that the launch happened, another important.
What's up, sweetheart? What do you want to show me?
There's a electric thing to make me go back in the air.
Oh, you can do that? Pretty cool. I love you. Okay, you can take it. All right, I'll be done in like 15 minutes, okay? Thanks, sweetheart. All right, continue. Sorry.
I'll go back in 3, 2, 1. So another important thing that happened on the day that the launch happened is something that we've all been looking forward to. We saw snippets about this, but so Jay Leno, the show Jay Leno's Garage, had access to Tesla Cybertruck, and I think Roadster and Semi. He basically got to go to the design studio, but they've been hyping this thing up, and they finally released that episode the same day. So we kind of, it was like Christmas morning, but like twice for a lot of people. What did you think? Did you watch I didn't watch the full episode. I just saw like the little snippet on YouTube. I think like high level.
So here's the thing.
It,
I didn't even watch the whole episode because I found out that all the snippets that we saw was the entire part. That was the entire Tesla section of the episode. They made it seem like it was going to be this whole Tesla episode. All the clips we saw, that was all Tesla's features in the episode. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm glad they gave us all the clips online, so I didn't have to bother going and seeing it. But yeah, everybody, like all the comments I saw on social was people were just really disappointed. And I was like, okay. I mean, the clips were cool. Like that's cool.
The thing that I enjoyed, here's the thing, like Eli and I have gone to just about every unveil in the last 2-3 years. They almost always have
not just about
night.
We've gone to every
all
unveil.
of them. Okay, so we have gone to every unveil, but like these unveils are at night, so it's just like what I appreciate about the Jay Leno episode is I got to see the Cybertruck in daytime. So it's kind of like I would pause the YouTube video and be like, oh, okay, like just look at small details of things that like we might have missed when we were there. But the biggest it wasn't controversy, but in the episode, it seemed like Elon and Jay Leno had recorded this months ago, like pre-COVID. Because in the episode, when they released it, Elon talks about, you know, how the Cybertruck might be a little bit too big, like 5% too big. They're thinking of like reducing it down, like all the way across. But before the episode aired, Elon got on Twitter and basically said he met with Franz von Hohenhausen, the chief designer, and they basically decided even like a 2-3% reduction is just not like too much. Like they weren't going to reduce the size of it, right?
Exactly. So basically that they realized that you can't reduce it 5% based on the design. Because there's, again, I mean, in theory, you could reduce a design 5%, but there's so many other components involved that have to be shrink. There's safety. There's all this stuff that comes into designing a car that even getting 3% was questionable, and they decided they're just not going to do it. So it ain't going to fit in an average garage. And you know what?
I'm happy.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying too, dude. Like this thing is a tank. You know, like I wasn't planning on parking it in my garage, but I guess one of the issues could be is like charging infrastructure wise. Typically, I think the way people have their homes set up, or Tesla will have to make some sort of super long chart. Like there might be something like that where they have to plan ahead of time that most people will not be able to fit the Cybertruck into like a typical American garage. So Tesla may need to make like an extension cord equivalent, you know, where you have to drag this thing out of your garage into the driveway to charge it. That's the only issue that I see, but I'm still do you want to know a secret? I'm more excited about the Cybertruck than the Roadster.
Dude, the Roadster is going to be a freaking space machine that's going to be so unbelievably fast. Like that angle is going to be just unbelievable. But yeah, practicality, and like even if I had a Roadster, which one would I use like all the time? It would be the Cybertruck. Like for real, when the Cybertruck comes out, I'm going to go eat dinner in the mountains in the middle of winter and during a blizzard on the frozen lake just because I can.
Yeah. So I do my day job. You guys know I'm a Tesla geek by night, but my day job is as a realtor. So I think I'm trying to convince all my realtor friends. I'm like, dude, the Cybertruck is the ultimate realtor car. Because realtors, you guys know, spend like half their day driving around their car. That's your second office almost. The thing that I really like that they kind of gave a little bit of detail was the locking vault, the cargo room in the 6-foot cargo room. Franz showed in the video, he opened it and closed it, right? So they showed, I think that's really smooth, number one. So I'm planning on basically like all my real estate stuff, just throwing it in that vault thing and locking it, right? You press a button and it locks. And Elon actually at one point got on top of it and started like bouncing up and down. Like that thing is like the vault, the closing mechanism is really tough. Like this thing is rugged, which I think is awesome. Like I was super happy about that. And then, of course, they alluded to the 30-time cold rolled steel, which makes the car like more or less bulletproof. And Jay Leno asked Elon why, and he's like, why not? Basically, he's like, because it's super cool. That sounds like such an Elon answer. There's no reason. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and it's one of the things, too, that like when you're going down the route of that steel, even if they're not intending to, that steel is strong enough at that level of thickness that it makes it bulletproof to a 9mm handgun round. Like Crazy. It just happened. Like you use that material and you use enough of it, you're going to have something that can stop bullets.
Yeah. And Elon goes, he goes back to Jay Leno and is like, "Wouldn't you want this?" And he said he wants Tesla to be a leader in apocalypse technology and all this stuff. I was like, dude, this company is so like like in a good way, but like just out there and ludicrous. You know what I mean? The kind of things that they're doing.
No, I'm excited to have a riot-proof tank.
And then finally, towards the end of the episode, Elon and Jay thought there'd be an awesome idea to take the Cybertruck into the boring tunnel, the mile and a half boring tunnel. And I don't know, I don't believe that was the first time they tried to do that, because that would be really horrific if you're trying to do this and you accidentally get it stuck in the boring tunnel or whatever. But according to Elon, he goes, "Oh, this is the first time we're trying it." So they basically drive. Jay Leno is driving the car, so they drive into this tunnel, come out the other end, and apparently the car barely fit in the elevator structure that they had. Because you got to, like, once you're done getting to the other end of the tunnel, you have to have an elevator to bring you back up to street level. But everything went off without a hitch. In total, it's only like a 5-6 minute portion of the whole, was it a 30-minute show or an hour? I didn't watch it, like the full.
I didn't watch it either. I have no idea. I think it's a half an hour show, but I don't know.
Yeah. Cool. So the final thing that we want to cover this week, you guys have probably heard, but we just want to kind of give our 2 cents about it. But Tesla across the board announced just last week that they're reducing prices. So I'll go ahead and talk about what's changing, and then Eli, maybe you can jump in and give your perspective. So the price change involves the Model 3, S, and X. It doesn't involve the Model Y. So Model Y price did not change. So for the Model 3, there's a straight across the board a $3,000 reduction, which would now set the SR Plus Model 3, instead of, it was like 39 and change, or roughly $40,000. So now it's $37,990 is the base price.
Yeah,
this 38 grand.
This is a big reduction. So there's a lot of questions like, what's going on? Like, has Tesla gotten more efficient? They probably have. I think part of it too is Tesla's like, look, the economy is in a little bit different place. We're going to shave margin maybe a little bit to sell more cars. But again, every time Tesla has lowered the price, they've also managed to improve efficiencies. And they were on a massive efficiency improvement train already. So I have a feeling it's a combination of some of the costs that they've cut, and they're able to pass that on to the consumer. I mean, it's incredible. It just makes them more and more competitive for an already amazing car. And the price reduction on the S and X is big. It's a big price drop.
S and X is a $5,000 price drop. So now that would put a long-range Model S at roughly $75,000. So $74,990 is what's listed on the website. And Model X, with the $5,000 reduction, the long-range Model X would be at $79,990, so roughly $80,000. So $75,000 for a long-range Model S, about $80,000 for a long-range Model X.
That's an incredible price for that car. I saw some people on Twitter complaining because they're like, "Oh, I just bought my car 3 months ago, and it's now worth $5,000 less, and Tesla refused to give me any credit or anything like that." Honestly, shut the fuck up.
End of story. Period.
Yes. If you buy a car from a dealership and the car goes on special a week later, 3 weeks later for $5 or $7 grand off, they aren't going to give you the money. They don't owe you the money. Tesla doesn't owe you the money. Shut up.
Okay.
I had an opinion on this, as you can tell.
Yes, you did. Okay. And then the other news that came out in the last week is, so right now, so those are the base prices for all the cars that we're talking about. But FSD, full self-driving, is $7,000. And Elon announced on Twitter that July 1st, so a couple of weeks from now, it's going to be going up to $8,000. So they're increasing the price of FSD by $1,000.
Yeah. So here's something to keep in mind too. Like, they did just lower the price of the entire car by $5 grand, a few grand for the other models, and FSD is going up by $1,000. And this has kind of been part of Tesla's march towards autonomy. As Elon said a couple of years ago, that as feature sets improve, they're going to continue to raise the price. I bought it the second time I bought it, which was for my second car, it was at $6,000, went up to $7,000 last year. And now July 1st, it goes to $8,000 because they're continuing to add more feature sets. And I know people are like, every single time they raise the price, they're like, "Oh, well, is it worth that price?" I'm like, well, the price is going to continue to go up. And one day you're going to be looking back and wishing you had bought it at $8,000. Because once they reach certified autonomy, it's worth exponentially more than 3,000. And
Yep.
they don't even have to reach full self-driving for this thing to be crazy valuable. They have to reach level 3 autonomy, which even could mean on freeways it's certified for self-driving. You can go to sleep. Even when that happens, that thing's going to be selling for 15,000. Like the value of that feature is just exponential. So yeah, it's a price increase, and it's also incentivizing people to not wait. And that's an important sales strategy to say, hey, look, you can sit back and wait, but the price is going to go up. Time is money.
Yep. I love it, dude. I can't wait. I think we're going to be in a very different place at the end of 2020 with FSD. So I actually, on my Model 3, I don't want to go back into all the little details, but I bought a base Model 3 thinking I was going to do a rental fleet, which I'm now glad I didn't go forward with it because of COVID and all this stuff. But I ended up upgrading to SR Plus, so I'm totally happy. I've got autopilot, but I think I'll wait for FSD for my Cybertruck. I'm good with autopilot for now.
It makes sense, man.
Yeah. Cool, man. Other than that, everything else good in your world? How are things in California?
I'm just getting back, catching up with my real life. Yeah, it took me a bit to get ready for the show because I couldn't find half my gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, man, it's good catching up on Starman orders, filling a bunch of stuff there. But yeah, just catch up with my daughter, enjoy some time at home before I travel again in the next week.
Nice. Oh, and the other thing that just to finish off with, guys, they did announce July 7th is a tentative date for the annual shareholders meeting. Eli and I will definitely try to be there. I guess we'll just see. It's kind of things are up in the air with travel and all that. But even if it's in California, bro, I'm coming. I can't miss it. Because there's a good chance that Cybertruck will be out there. Remember last year at the annual shareholder meeting, they had the Roadster and Model Y on display. Like, just for that, even if you're scared to go into the meeting room, maybe just show up out in front, you know what I mean, with your mask on and stuff, because they might have some interesting things on display.
I will definitely be there at the shareholder meeting 100%. I can't confirm whether or not Starwind will be there, but I'll definitely be there.
Yep. Cool, man. It's good catching up, bro.
Yeah, brother. I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for watching, listening to this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show. We can't wait to have more awesome guests coming up on here soon. So for that and more, follow, like, subscribe. Stay tuned.